Sunday, November 9th, up in the mountains of western North Carolina. And week 11's over. Interesting week 11. Very interesting week 11. Had some good, had some bad, and had some ugly, which is how about every week goes. But we're back to talk about it again. We're going to talk through several things. We may bring up something I brought up last week that's not getting a whole lot better at some places, and some places even getting worse. Any coach firings yet? Haven't heard of any. The best games of the week, and then we're going to change it up a little, or I'm going to change it up a little, and I'm going to talk about some predictions in the conferences and the playoffs a little bit today. I usually don't do that today, but we're going to go through the games a little bit more briefly, and that way we can get to talking about some of these conference races and some of these playoff races a little more, because it's getting pretty interesting. It's that time of year where it's going to be interesting. You got some teams who are trying to play themselves in, and some teams who are unfortunately playing themselves out of conference and playoff contention. So I appreciate you being here. If you're here normally, if you're here for the first time, if you know somebody who might enjoy this or may have any ideas to help it or whatever, tell them to come on and check it out. If you're on Spotify, follow and rate. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. That's the only way we get better. So do that for me. That's all I ask. It costs you nothing. It takes you about 5 seconds. That'd be great. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. And we're about to get it rolling. I'm going to bring it up again. Last week I kind of went on a rant about it. I shouldn't rant again, but I'm going to. Tackling is atrocious. There's a team who I thought was very physical, or well, I guess I should say has been very physical all year. And their game this Saturday showed kind of otherwise, in my opinion. Kind of showed that maybe they're not as physical as I thought, as everybody thinks. And their tackling was absolutely terrible. I mean, I understand that there are really good athletes out there who are running the football, who are carrying the football, who might be hard to tackle at times, but it just gets out of hand. And it seems like it's contagious throughout a whole defense. When it starts, it's going to be tough, because it starts and then nobody on the defense can tackle anymore. And I don't know. I mean, a lot of these teams, all you got to do is do a spin move, and those guys are going to fly off of you. Tell me why. Why does that happen? There's another team, and we'll get into it a little bit, I guess. I mean, they couldn't tackle anybody. And God forbid a team has a really good running back who is a tough runner. And listen, I'm giving credit to these running backs or receivers or quarterbacks, whoever. But defense, give me something better. Please, make some tackles, okay? Why? And I said last week, I'm not going to blame coaches, not going to blame players. I'm just going to say it's all around. Got to get better. I mean, it's getting pretty. It's getting rough some places. It's getting rough. And the first one I was talking about, Texas Tech and BYU. BYU looked like a different team offensively and defensively. But defensively, couldn't tackle. Texas Tech's got a heck of a running back. A couple of them, really. And they could not tackle him. Receiver catches the ball out in open field. Open field tackling is, oh man, open field tackling. Basically, if a skill player, offensive skill player, has got the ball in open field, you can go ahead and guarantee one missed tackle. Guarantee it from some of the games I watched. Guarantee one missed tackle. Now, he may make more people miss, but the first guy is going to just dive and fly right by him. What? What are we doing? I want you to play fast, but let's play under control a little. Let's not dive at ankles and just get sidestepped. What about ankles? Man, oh man. How about let's not give up a cutback? I've seen it a million times, and it's not easy, guys. I'm not telling you it's easy, but we gotta get a little more consistent on this. It's driving me insane. Please, I'm done with the tackling. Let's move to something else, a little more positive. Haven't seen any coach firings yet after yesterday's games. That's a positive. This will be the first week in a while. If we don't get one, I should knock on some wood. I'm not going to do it too loud because the jukester will start growling and barking, but I'm knocking on wood, and maybe there'll be no firings this week. That'd be phenomenal, wouldn't it? That would be great. So that's great to hear. All right. Are there some coming up? As we go through those games briefly, maybe we'll talk about a few that possibly would. And listen, I don't want to talk any into existence. So there may not be many, I say. It may not be any. But we'll see as we go through if there are any who really stick out to me. Now let's jump to some games. We've talked about the games during the week a little bit already in the last show. Barn burner, Georgia Southern App State, 25-23. UTSA goes to South Florida. South Florida gets after them. So South Florida in the G5 picture is still there. They're still sitting right there. One loss in the AAC. Their other losses to Miami by about 37, I think, or 35 or something. So I saw, I can't remember who it was, talk about Group of Five, how they get a automatic bid in the playoff. It's an automatic no matter where they're ranked. He mentioned, why don't we just, if a G5 team, to get a G5 team in, first you got to win a conference, your conference obviously, but you got to be ranked within a certain number, 15 or 20 or something. I can't remember. I think he said 15, but I think I may bump it down to 20. If you're ranked in the top 20, you can get in the playoff. And he said the same thing even about a Power 4 conference. So ACC, for example, they had the highest ranked team at 14. So say they got to be in the top 15 or top 20 to be able to get in as a automatic bid, which that would really get people fired up. Virginia and Louisville both lost yesterday. Georgia Tech is 18. Virginia Tech and Louisville just might be outside the top 20. Georgia Tech's got to win out to stay in the top 20. Imagine getting no ACC teams in the playoff. Wow. But it's interesting. Now, here's another idea. And I don't know how much I like this, but it's just something I've thought about. Why don't you go, or could you go, a Power 4 playoff and then a Group of 5 playoff? Could you split them up? I don't know how much people would like that. But here's my thought process on all this is I played football in FCS. In FCS, if you win your conference, you get in the playoff. So technically, every team in the NCAA, FCS, has a chance to win a national championship. If you win your conference, you get in the playoff, you can make a run and do whatever. In the college football playoff, I'm not trying to downplay Group of 5 because there's some great Group of 5 teams out there. But what chance do you think a Group of 5 team has to go win a national championship versus the likes of this year, Ohio State, Indiana, Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, even Texas Tech, all those teams? It's just not very high. So while now you can say when you're recruiting at a Group of 5 school, say, hey, we can go and then get in the playoff and win a national championship. In theory, yes, you absolutely can. But how realistic is that? Yeah, you can get in the playoff, no doubt. But if you split it up, P4 playoff, the college football playoff, and the G5 playoff, then those G5 schools have got an actual chance they're going to win a national championship. Now, then you get into this. Well, now it's just basically another FCS. You got 2 FCS leagues and then the big boys. Now, and I don't know. But the crappy part is going to be this, is if the American Conference is beating up on themselves, okay? Memphis lost to Tulane. Here's what you might run into this year. If they run into it this year. What if all of the Group of 5 teams are unranked? Even the top Group of 5 team who is going to get into the playoff, the Group of 5 member, is going to get into the playoff not ranked, taking a spot away from whoever that 11th or 12th spot is. Because Notre Dame, if they went out, they're going to get in the playoff. They should win out. They got Pitt. That'll be a tough one. But if they win out, they're in. If they win out, they're in the playoff. So then you've got basically, I don't want to say it like that, but you got 2 conference teams who are going to be left out because of Notre Dame, and then a Group of 5 team who might be ranked number 25. Might be. Last year's a little different because Boise State was ranked highly. That's not going to be the case this year. Because while it looked like you had a couple just dominant teams in the G5 earlier, they're all beating up on each other. So, it's a very interesting topic. Now, I don't think anything will change as far as G5N because Group of 5 conferences teams want to be in the playoff. They want to be in. And so that's probably going to stay that way. But then you're always going to have the P4 teams who are right there on the edge. Doesn't matter how big the playoff is. The P4 teams are right on the edge. Are going to say, well, we should be in. We're way better than that team. How come they get in and we're ranked so-and-so and we're playing way better competition and we don't get in? Now, I'm biased to the FCS playoff system. Go to a 28, I guess it's 28 or 32 team playoff in FCS. Every conference gets their winner in. So that's 9, 10 conferences. Guess how many spots you got left for at large? You've got about 18 or 22 more spots available. Is that right? Yeah. So that way you can get all the teams in there that you want. Now, people say, oh, it's too many. Those teams don't have a chance to win a national championship. Does a Group of 5 team have a chance? Technically, yes. But realistically, do they? I don't know. Okay? I don't know. It is a great debate. It'll be interesting to see how it goes here in the future. But I don't think much will change in the very near future. Like going into next year, I don't see a whole lot changing unless they do something emergency-wise going in because they, want to get everybody's opinion, want to make everybody happy. That's how it all is. So anyway, all right. South Florida beats UTSA. Handles them easily. Houston at UCF. Houston barely squeaks out a win in the bounce house there at UCF. Win by 3. They were down a lot of the game. UCF, you got to give them a lot of credit. Scott Frost. Houston comes back and wins the game. Tulane, Memphis. Tulane beats Memphis, and basically Tulane was dominating the whole game. They were in the lead basically the whole game. Memphis couldn't do anything. So now you've got, and we'll just go ahead and get into this then. How about it? I'm going to go ahead and get into this. The American Conference. So now you have no undefeated teams in the American Conference. All right? The one-loss teams, Navy, South Florida, Tulane, North Texas, East Carolina. North Texas is 8-1. Navy, South Florida, and Tulane are all 7-2. East Carolina is 6-3. Memphis now has 2 losses in the American. They're out. They've been eliminated from conference and playoff contention. Navy just got handled by Notre Dame. South Florida has beaten Florida, but has lost to Miami and also lost to Memphis, who they should have beaten, or excuse me, had chances to beat. Tulane has now beaten South Florida. They lost to Ole Miss. And in the American, they lost to UTSA. That's right. Lost to UTSA. And then you've got North Texas, who is 8-1, 4-1 in the conference. And here's my prediction for the American Conference and probably for the Group of 5 playoff spot. North Texas, you're going to be in. Because, let me read you off North Texas's remaining schedule. 3 games left. At UAB, that's this coming up weekend. At Rice, the next weekend. Temple at home. UAB is going to give you a fight. I know they fired a head coach earlier in the year, but then they ended up the very next weekend beating Memphis. Then they got to play at Rice, so they're going to stay in the state of Texas and go play Rice. I don't see Rice's defense holding North Texas very much. A lot of points scored for North Texas. I see that happening. And then versus Temple on Friday, November 28th, the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, I don't think Temple's going to be able to stop them either because their offense is pretty prolific, pretty explosive. So I think North Texas is going to finish up 11-1. All right, we're good there. Tulane's remaining schedule. Florida Atlantic, Temple, at Temple, Charlotte. That's also a pretty nice schedule, right? Pretty nice schedule. Now, there is a American Conference Championship game. So I could see those two, with those remaining schedules, I could see those two teams being in the Conference Championship game. South Florida's remaining schedule, guess what? They go to Annapolis to play Navy this weekend. Then they go to UAB, play Rice at home. So that game will knock out one more team and eliminate one more team out of the American Conference Championship picture and the playoff picture. So whoever wins that one will put themselves in a good spot. Whoever loses it will be out. All right, so that tells you about Navy and South Florida. So Navy's got to play South Florida, we know, and then they got to play Memphis. They got to play Navy and Memphis. Now, they got to play South Florida, Memphis. If they win both of those, then they're really sitting pretty. All right, because they have those two, and then a couple weeks into December, they play the Army-Navy game, which is also a conference game. But if Navy will play in the conference championship before that if they get in. Now, East Carolina, they're a little bit different. They're 6-3. They've lost to Tulane, but they play Memphis this weekend. Tough game. They go to UTSA, tough game. And then they go to Florida Atlantic. So my prediction is North Texas and Tulane are the two teams sitting there in the conference championship game. Now, I could also see, the thing is, whoever wins the Navy-South Florida game is probably also going to be sitting there one loss. So you got 3 teams with 1 loss. I don't know the tiebreakers off the top of my head, and I apologize. But this is basically what everybody's saying the Group of 5 playoff spot is going to run through. I don't know. And let me tell you why. So let's go to the Conference USA. At the top of the Conference USA, you've got Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State undefeated. And they play each other this weekend in Jacksonville, Alabama. You've got 2 teams with 1 loss, Western Kentucky and Missouri State. Kennesaw State 7-2, Jacksonville State is 6-3. Western Kentucky is 7-2, Missouri State is 6-3. Okay, so the big game obviously is Kennesaw State versus Jacksonville State this weekend. Who's going to stay undefeated? Okay, whoever wins that one will be in the driver's seat. Now, here's the tough part for Kennesaw State. Their remaining schedule after they go to Jacksonville State is Missouri State at home and then at Liberty, 2 of the top teams in the Conference USA. So they're going to have to really be playing well to get through all these. I will actually be in Kennesaw, Georgia for the Missouri State game. So I'll get to see the boys live in action. Now, that'll be, if they can win out that, they're going to be in the championship game and have a chance to be, obviously, the champion of the conference. Maybe, possibility, playoff spot. Jacksonville State plays Kennesaw State this weekend. Then they go to FIU, and they play Western Kentucky at home. Now, Western Kentucky is a dangerous team. They've got one loss in the conference. So say Jacksonville State drops to Kennesaw State. Jacksonville State might have a chance. They would have a chance to still be in the championship game if they win out. But if Western Kentucky beats them, Western Kentucky will be in. So, I mean, you've got some possibilities there. Western Kentucky finishes with Jacksonville State, but they play Middle Tennessee State this weekend at home. They go to LSU. It's not going to have any bearings on the conference championship game, obviously. So they just got the 2 conference championship games left, and then Missouri State has got to play Kennesaw State in 2 weeks. But they play UTEP this weekend, go to Kennesaw State. They got Louisiana Tech at home. That I don't feel as comfortable picking who I think is going to be in the championship game. Kennesaw State's got the toughest remaining schedule left, it looks like. Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky play each other. Missouri State and Kennesaw State play each other. Kennesaw State plays Liberty to finish the season. So a lot's going to happen in these next 3 weekends. And whoever's, we're going to find out who the best team in the conference is as we play this finishing schedule, because there's some tough games in each team's schedule. Some have more than others, but everybody's got at least one. All right, so that's going to be a fun one to watch how it plays out. But then that is the Conference USA. The MAC, there's really nobody there who's going to be pushing for that spot, unfortunately, for the MAC. And then the Mountain West, so you had San Diego State, who was undefeated, went to Hawaii and got drummed late night, our time. But in Hawaii, they played it started like 7. They lost 38-6, I think the score was. So they are out of that kind of contention. They were 7-1. They were trying to be 5-0 in the conference, 8-1 overall, with a loss to Washington State. Now, and Boise State's 4-1, but they're 6-3 overall. They're not getting in the playoff. Now, it might be those 2 teams in the conference championship game. Now, if Hawaii can win out and can have some help, one of those other teams losing another conference game. Oh well, here it is actually. Hold on just a second. San Diego State plays Boise State this weekend. So one of them is going to lose, and as long as Hawaii can keep winning. Now, what Hawaii really wants is they want Boise State to beat San Diego State. Hawaii's got the tiebreaker over San Diego State, so then that will bump them ahead of San Diego State. And if Hawaii wins out, then it'll be Boise State and Hawaii in the Mountain West championship game, which would be awesome to see Hawaii in there. Now, here's the other one who's got a real shot. This would be James Madison. They're 8-1. They're 6-0 in the conference. They're 8-1. Their one loss is to the Indiana Hoosiers, which we know is a team who's undefeated and is number 2 in the country. I'm sorry, Louisville. Why did I say Indiana? Louisville, who is a team who was at the top of the ACC. They lost a game yesterday, their second game of the conference, so now they are not in as good of a spot. Louisville is not. All right, but it was a 28-14 win by Louisville, lost by Jacksonville State. So JMU, if they can win out, they've got a chance as well. And especially what the teams in the Conference USA, Mountain West, and Sun Belt need to hope for is for all the teams in the American Conference to just beat themselves up. Have Navy beat South Florida, but then, whoever else Navy plays beats Navy, and then North Texas gets upset by somebody. I mean, they need some help, because I think the committee, especially the all-knowing committee, is going to look at the American Conference and say, that's where the team's coming from out of a group of 5. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what they're going to say because of what's happened this season with the Group of Five, how good South Florida has looked against some teams. North Texas can score about 1,000 points, you know, and so and Tulane's just is in there. They're playing good enough to beat some teams, got upset by UTSA. So I think it's going to run through the American unless they all beat up on each other, some upsets, things like that. So that's going to be super fun to watch play out. Now, we'll get back to some of these games here. Northwestern USC. USC took care of business on a Friday night, a short week in Southern California. USC takes care of business. Now, Indiana, Penn State, Indiana tried to lose it. Penn State has played two really good games back-to-back. Ohio State pulled away late. Indiana did not, but Indiana drove down and scored with less than a minute left. And the catch that dude made in the back of the end zone, I'm blanking on his name right now, was phenomenal. Phenomenal catch by that dude. I was watching it when it happened, and I thought, no, he didn't get in. He didn't get the foot in. He did get the foot in because I thought the first foot that came down actually touched out. It actually did not touch, and then the left foot went down in bounds. It was a crazy catch. So, I mean, I talk about it all the time. Even when you're not playing your best, if you can come out with wins, you're probably looking at being an elite team because you're able to even play well and win when you're not playing well. Play well enough to win. Georgia dominates Mississippi State. BYU and Texas Tech. What? This is 2 weeks in a row that there's been a big time Big 12 game on or being played. And in Vegas, the odds makers put it at a 10.5 point favorite for Utah last week versus Cincinnati, Texas Tech this week versus BYU. And I went against it both times like an idiot. I thought there's no way that they're going to lose. They've been too good. And last week was worse than this week. But last week, 45-10 or something. This week, 29-7. It was 22-0 with 10 minutes left in the fourth. I mean, BYU couldn't piss a drop. BYU could not tackle Texas Tech if you were holding a gun to one of the defensive players' heads. They couldn't do it. And they have not looked like that from what I remember before this. So I don't know what's going on. It's the defense. It's the lack of offense, but it's the great defense by Texas Tech. BYU couldn't do anything. Texas Tech had 3 dudes in the backfield. Right? It's unbelievable. Now, another team in Group of 5, Southern Miss. Coach Huff came from Marshall, got let go, fired, whatever happened, kind of a big ordeal. He's now at Southern Miss, brought a lot of team with him. They're undefeated in the Sun Belt. They're 7-2. They're on a trajectory. If they can win out, they'll play James Madison in the Sun Belt Championship game. They hold off Arkansas State 27-21. It's a big time for them. Army, I got to talk about military academies and my boys up there. They beat Temple 14-13. Outlast Temple, 14-13 win. All right, and here we're at James Madison now. They played Marshall. They win 35-23. It was kind of back and forth. James Madison went up a couple of possessions. Marshall would bring it close. James Madison would score. Marshall bring it close. They score. So you got to give Marshall some credit for bringing it, keeping it close. But James Madison ends up winning the game. And so James Madison's still on that trajectory. If they can win out and have a little help from some of the other conferences, they might can get in. Okay? All right. Let's get to some more here. A close one in the Conference USA, Missouri State at Liberty. I thought Liberty's hot right now, but Missouri State held them off at Liberty. That's a not an easy place to play. Their student section's elite. I've played there a couple times. That's a good win for Missouri State, and that kept them one loss in the picture possibly for the Conference USA Championship in their first season of play, which is huge. First season of FBS play. All right, folks, let's go. Maryland, Rutgers, Maryland. It was close-ish going into half, and then Rutgers pulls away. It's 35-20. I think it was 21-17. Rutgers was up at half, and then only a field goal for Maryland, and, Rutgers scores 35-20. Jacksonville State stays undefeated in the Conference USA by holding off UTEP 30-27. Lots of close games in the Conference USA. For example, Delaware beats Louisiana Tech 25-24. Okay? Quarterback for Delaware, Minicucci. Right? They hold them off. Louisiana Tech was one of the favorites. They've now lost a few games in the Conference USA. They're probably out of any contention. No, they are out of any contention for the conference championship game. Their overall record's 5-4, looking to get in the bowl game. Let's see, Oregon, Iowa, rainy, pissing rain the whole time. Iowa, you got to give Iowa some credit, man. They played Indiana super close. Lost by 5. They are leading Oregon. They go and score a touchdown to make it 16-15 in the fourth quarter with about a minute and a half to go. They go for 2, don't get it. So now it's 16-15. Oregon drives down and kicks a game-winning field goal. And we were talking about it. Iowa could have played themselves into the playoff if they win out, right? If they win out, they play themselves into the playoff. And they were close to doing it. This would have been the first test because they got USC still. They got some challenges up ahead, but you got to give Iowa a lot of credit, but you got to give Oregon a lot of credit. They're a young team, and they went in there, terrible conditions, had to play a game that may not be completely loving to play, and they won the game. Huge for them. Huge for them. A couple Big 12 games. Iowa State beats TCU 20-17. They were down for a little while in the game and come back and win. That's huge for them. They're down 17-6 in the fourth quarter. They come back and win 2017. Huge for them and Rocco Becht and the Matt Campbell. Arizona beats Kansas 24-20. I thought Kansas was going to be more this year. But they've struggled, and they're 5-5 trying to get bowl eligible. So, here's a big one. Duke loses to UConn. Now, UConn is a good football team. Duke is also not a bad football team. I thought Duke was going to beat him. I knew UConn was good, but I thought, man, there's no way, that UConn is going to beat them. But they sure enough did. They beat them. UConn's 7-3. They're not in the conference. They're 7-3. They're bowl eligible, and the rest of their schedule, let's see, being not in the conference. Okay, they play Air Force this weekend. And then they play at Florida Atlantic. That's 2 winnable games. They could be 9-3. UConn. I don't know if any of you have paid attention to UConn in the past. They have not been good. I believe Jim Moore is the guy they have there as the head coach. And he, gradually they were getting better and better and better. And now they got a chance to be 9-3. That's great for UConn, man. That's awesome. They're a basketball school, but look at them winning some games in football. It's huge. Good for them. Not so good for Duke. Texas A&M, Missouri, domination. Missouri's on the backup quarterback. Texas A&M is just too good. They're just too good. Defensively, they're too good. And offensively, they're too good for Missouri. Missouri's defense is pretty solid, but Texas A&M got after them pretty good. Kennesaw State, the Owls, go over to New Mexico. They go almost cross country. And they go play New Mexico State. And they go, I think they went up 24-0. At half, it was 24-7. The Owls don't score again in the second half and hold off New Mexico State. They score 14 points late, and they win 24-21. Now, I'm saying this because this is my squad. My boys here. Obviously, I played there. We've got to figure out how to play a full 4 quarters, gentlemen. Listen, we're not just trying to go win and get bowl eligible. We're bowl eligible right now. We've been there. Now we're trying to go win the Conference USA, and guess what? Maybe get in the playoff. Let's take one thing at a time. Let's beat Jacksonville State this Saturday. Let's beat JSU, the Gamecocks, in the cockpit. All right? We've been there before. We've beaten them before when we weren't supposed to. Now we're supposed to. Let's go beat them. Let's go play a full 4 quarters, and I'll give you more pep talk on later in the week. Good for the Owls. They hold them off and win. Auburn and Vandy. Man, you know what? I'm watching the game. Early in the game, Auburn's going down. They go up like 10-0 or something like that, man. And I texted my buddy Kale. I said, offensive juggernaut now. Hugh Freeze is gone. Offensive juggernaut for the Tigers. He said, Jake, don't start. I thought, man, I hope I didn't just jinx them. Man, I'm not blaming myself because that would be crazy. But I feel bad because I did text pretty early. Auburn was rolling, and Vandy couldn't do anything offensively. And so, anyway, Auburn ends up losing the game 45-38 in overtime. Just couldn't stop them enough. They do score late and get a 2-point conversion to take it to overtime. Vandy had a chance to end the game in regulation, and they didn't kick the field goal. They're in field goal range, and they got a 4th and short, and they go for it on 4th. Diego, it's just a read option. He pulls it, and he just gets strung out, and Auburn's defense is all over it. This is the most points Auburn's given up all year, easily. It's easily the most points they've scored in the game all year. Baylor, they scored a bunch. They scored just under this in Ball State. In an SEC game, easily the most they've scored. So you got to give them something. The boys are playing hard. They're trying to finish the year. Now, Auburn's got, obviously, Alabama in the last game. They've got Mercer. They got a bye week, Mercer, Alabama. So Auburn needs to win out to get bowl eligible. Oh, man. It's just a bad spot to be in with the Iron Bowl coming up at the end of the year. And I want to see Auburn in the bowl game. I just don't know if we're going to get it. All right, folks. Washington loses to Wisconsin 13-10. 13-10, Washington loses to Wisconsin. You know, I don't know how this happened. I don't know how it happened. Wisconsin has been basically had nothing going on all year. Well, it looks like for Wisconsin, 4 different people attempted a pass in the game for Wisconsin. Not saying that's good or bad, just saying. And not only did the 4 people attempt to pass, this is what you're going to love. Those 4 people, let's see, looks like 18 passes for Wisconsin in the game. You don't have to throw it 50 times to make me happy. I'm fine with running the ball. I love running the ball. But they threw for 48 passing yards, completed 6 passes for 48 yards on 18 attempts, and won the game 13-10. Hey, Wisconsin, just run the ball from now on. Just run. Just do a few passes enough to make them not put 11 guys in the box and run the ball and win 13-10 every week. We don't care how you win, just win. Good for Fickell. He needed that. Now, you know what I love? And here's what we need to talk about. This is a big deal. The AD comes out. Wisconsin's not having a great year. The AD comes out and says, we are keeping Luke Fickell in the 2026 season. Fires me up, man. Look, no, their season's not perfect. He said he's the guy that we want. He's with the views we want and all that stuff. He's the guy. And they made a statement. They said, hey, we're not getting rid of him. And look what happens. They go and play Washington, a ranked team in the playoff rankings, number 23, and they go win at home. Huge, huge. Let this be a lesson for some ADs, not all ADs out there. Let this be a lesson. when you hire a guy, get behind him and support him, and don't just fire him at the first sight of you think, oh my gosh, we're going to lose a few games. You're fired. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you, Wisconsin, for doing that. That's phenomenal. UNC gets another ACC win, folks. UNC is trying to be bowl eligible. Are you ready for this? They beat Stanford at home. That's a good win. Look, Stanford is not an easy out. Stanford's going to play hard. Now, the better teams are going to pull away. Andrew Luck's a GM. You know he's going to do it right. And UNC beats him at home. Now, UNC has 3. That was Juke. UNC has 3 games left. All games in North Carolina. Jukester, here he is. They play at Wake Forest. Oh, at Wake Forest, Duke at home, at NC State. That's 3 tough games. They need to win 2 of the 3 to get in the bowl game. Wake Forest just beat Virginia. I mean, they got the work cut out for them, but they've at least given themselves a shot. Okay, they've given themselves a shot. At Wake Forest is going to play them tough. Duke's going to play them tough. NC State's going to play them tough. It's going to be super interesting to see how this plays out. I can't wait to see it. I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit. A little bit, okay? Good for UNC. Okay. Air Force goes on to beat San Jose State. I'm talking about military academies, folks. You know I am. Air Force beats San Jose State. I went for the over in this game because Air Force can score and they can't hold anybody, and San Jose State can score also. And they don't even score or barely score 40 points. Let's see. Yeah, barely score 40. And the over under was 61.5, so I was wrong there. Great for Air Force. They need to get a few more wins. They need to win out to get bowl eligible. And who do they have left? UConn, New Mexico, and Colorado State. They got a chance. Louisville loses to Cal in overtime. Man, and then also right below this, I got them back-to-back. Virginia loses to Wake Forest at home. So both these teams are at home. Both of them lose. Virginia's lost 2 games, only 1 in the ACC, technically. They've lost to 2 ACC teams. But one of them was not counted as a conference game. So, whatever. Louisville loses to Cal in overtime. Louisville, they take it in overtime, 23-all. Louisville gets stopped. They have to kick a field goal. They've got Cal on 4th and goal, and Cal goes for it on 4th and goal, and they win the game, 29-26. And then also Wake Forest, they just beat Virginia in regulation. They gave up 9 points to Virginia. They held them to 9 points, number 14 team in the country. Huge for Wake Forest. Huge. Jake Dickert at Wake Forest is doing a great job. And I really like that. Okay? I really do. Great for Cal and Wake Forest. Louisville and Virginia. I don't know. We're going to talk about it in a second. I don't know what's going to happen. Florida State and Clemson. Clemson beats Florida State at home 24-10. They snapped the losing streak at home. It was like 6 games. Good for Dabo. They needed it. Florida State. I don't know what's going to happen. Mike Norvell. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I'm not saying he should get fired. I'm not going to say that. I don't think he should. But I'm sure people are thinking it. I think the AD came out middle of the year and said, hey, we're going to evaluate this and we'll figure out the end of the year. But I thought Florida State was going to handle this better, but it's talking about playing against Clemson, and they did not. Good for Dabo. Navy goes to South Bend, Indiana, plays Notre Dame. And they get beat pretty bad. In halftime, it was 21-10, so they were holding them close. And then Notre Dame just took over the game. Not much else to say about that. Just overpowered them. All right, LSU, Alabama. It was really close early. I mean, it was 20-9 was the final score, so it never really got out of hand. But the whole game, Alabama was in control They could not cash in some drives in the red zone or going into the red zone. They could not cash in some drives. So now we all knew we were going to get a spirited LSU team because Brian Kelly left. Frank Wilson is the interim head coach. Obviously, the guys like Frank Wilson way more than they like Brian Kelly, probably players and staff. So we all knew we were going to get a pretty good effort. And so they got after Alabama a little bit early. At halftime, it was 17-3. And Alabama only kicked a field goal in the fourth. They didn't do anything in the third, no touchdowns in the second half. So obviously they were looking to score more than that. But, in a rivalry game, that's just some games you're going to have to play and you're going to have to win. Now, on the upside, Alabama's defense forced multiple turnovers. Only gave up field goals. There were sometimes LSU got into the red zone. They just gave up field goals. So those are things that look good on. Offensively, there's some more things you can do to finish drives. There's a couple drops, things like that. Could be better. Kentucky just dominates Florida 38-7. Dominated Florida 38-7. I don't even know what to think about that, honestly. Because I thought Florida would, be a little bit better. I don't know. But Kentucky, I'm happy about that for Kentucky. Kentucky's got Tennessee Tech at home. They need 2 wins to be bowl eligible. Tennessee Tech at home. They go to Vandy, and they play at Louisville to end the season. So I think they'll get the one versus Tennessee Tech. Now, I'll tell you this about Tennessee Tech, folks. Tennessee Tech in the FCS, undefeated, and scores a lot of points. I'm not saying they're going to beat Kentucky. I'm just saying it's not a game to take super lightly because they can run up score. I understand they're not playing SEC teams, but they can do it. Obviously, at Vandy's going to be a big one. At Louisville, they're both rivalry games. Both of those are. So you never know. You go and you play hard, you may get a dub. All right? Okay, Nebraska, LSU. Nebraska holds off, not LSU, UCLA, 28-21 without Dylan Raiola. Huge for Nebraska, huge for Matt Rule, as he's got an extension there to be there another couple years, like 2032, something crazy. UNLV dominates Colorado State. And then we talked about this one earlier. Hawaii dominates San Diego State. And here's one. Sam Houston State goes to Oregon State. They go from Texas, Huntsville, Texas, up to Corvallis, Oregon, to play Oregon State. And they come back, score in the fourth quarter, and win 21-17 to get their first win of the year. Gutsy. It's not easy when you're 0-8 to go and play Oregon State, to go from Texas up to Oregon and go and come back and win the game. They were down 17-7 at half. They scored a touchdown in the third, touchdown in the fourth to win 21-17. Good job, Sam Houston State. That's gutsy. That's honorable for sure. For sure. Now, playoff talk. We've talked about the G5 spot. The group of 5 spot. Okay. It's going to probably run through the American unless they beat up on each other. Then it's James Madison. And then it's probably Conference USA. Probably Conference USA, whoever wins it this year needs to win it this year and then go win it again next year so you actually be in the rankings, right? Now, let's look at the Power 5 schools. Power 4, I'm sorry. Now, the ACC is still top heavy pretty hard. You've still got 5 teams with 1 loss in the ACC. Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pittsburgh, SMU, and Duke. So, Duke's 5-4 overall, and they're 4-1 in the ACC. Duke's got to play Wake Forest. They got to play UNC and NC State. So, they've got some tricky games coming up in ACC. Will they win out? I don't think they will. Especially kind of after some of the games they've played lately. I don't think they will. SMU is 5-1 and 7-3. SMU, their remaining schedule, they've got 2 games left. They're off this week, and they play Louisville and at Cal. So here's the thing, if SMU can beat Louisville, which Louisville's already got 2 losses, they're out of the picture, but that's going to be their biggest one. Who did that say they played last? Was it Pitt? No, Cal. I mean, Cal, they don't have an easy schedule. Cal's going to give you a good game. Pittsburgh holds the key in their hands. All right, Pittsburgh, and I'll tell you why. They play Notre Dame this weekend at home. If they beat Notre Dame, Notre Dame's out of the playoff. I don't see them getting in with 3 wins. Notre Dame's out if they lose. Pitt, if they can win that one, they get rewarded by going to Georgia Tech to play Georgia Tech. They get rewarded if they win that one, playing Miami at home. So they have probably the toughest ACC schedule left. But if they say, hey, we're going to go on a run and win them all, they're going to be the top team in the ACC. And they'll knock Notre Dame out and help another team on the bubble get in. How nice of them to do that. We'll see if they can do it. Notre Dame's playing pretty good right now. Now you got Virginia at 1 loss. 2 games left. They play at Duke, and they play Virginia Tech. They got a bye week in between those 2. I foresee Virginia probably winning out there. Now, Virginia kind of got lucky. They lost their one ACC game that was not an ACC game versus NC State. So they're only at 1 loss in the conference. And then Georgia Tech has got Boston College this week, and then Pitt. So Boston College doesn't scare you a bunch. I mean, Boston College is going to probably play you tough. You're going to have to be a slobber knocker. But Pittsburgh is the one. Pittsburgh can really take the ACC wherever they want it to go if they win. If they lose, then, well, it doesn't matter. But Pitt is in a good spot where they can do a lot of stuff. I still think Georgia Tech's probably going to be in the championship game. They got to play Georgia too, but that doesn't matter in the ACC picture. And that might be another 8 overtime thriller. Who knows? Probably Georgia Tech and Virginia. If I had to put money on it, if I had to, they have probably the 2 least scary ACC schedules. Now, yes, Georgia Tech's got Pitt, but Pitt's got Miami and Georgia Tech and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's not ACC, but still. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't foresee Duke ending with 1 loss in the conference. SMU, I don't know if I foresee them beating Louisville, honestly. Now it's in Dallas, but I don't know if I see him. So here's the thing. If you want to get 2 teams in the ACC, you really need to have Georgia Tech win out, and then let's see. I mean, you probably just need Georgia Tech and Virginia to win out, and that way those 2 teams can hopefully get at large. But that's the thing. Virginia is going to be so low now, they're not going to get in. I think ACC gets 1 team in. After talking it through, ACC gets 1 team in the playoff. Big Ten, Indiana, Ohio State runs through them. Now, how many at-larges? Right now, I think it's just 1. You got USC and Oregon who play each other. Is it this weekend? No, in 2 weeks. USC plays Iowa this weekend in LA, in Southern Cal. So USC's got a tough schedule. They got Iowa, at Oregon, UCLA. Oregon obviously has USC. They have Minnesota, USC, at Washington. That's not easy either. You got to go to Washington. Oh, man. And then Michigan, they're also 1 loss in the conference. They've got at Northwestern, at Maryland, Ohio State. You know what is unbelievable is Michigan might have the best chance schedule-wise to get into at large. They can beat Northwestern, beat Maryland, and they've beat Ohio State the last like 4 years. If they beat Ohio State, folks, I'll tell you this, they're getting into the playoff, and they might get into the Big Ten championship game too. It's just unbelievable that Michigan has just kind of somehow kept themselves in it, and they're right there in the end. But I think the Big Ten gets 3 teams in: Indiana, Ohio State, and I really think it's probably going to be Oregon. I think it's going to be Oregon. I thought if Iowa beat Oregon, I'm going to say, hey, Iowa's going to be the team that gets in. But I think it's going to be Oregon. I think Oregon will beat USC in a couple weeks. And I think it'll be 3 from the Big Ten. Everybody's wanting to have 4 teams from the Big Ten in no matter what. But I think it's going to be 3. The Big 12, you got 3 teams with 1 loss in the Big 12. Texas Tech, obviously. BYU, obviously. And Cincinnati, obviously. Texas Tech, their schedule remaining: UCF, West Virginia. 2 big wins. They're in the Big 12 championship game, no doubt about it. BYU, they got Cincinnati. TCU, then at Cincinnati, then UCF. Cincinnati's not going to be an easy one, especially with how bad BYU looked against Texas Tech. Now, Cincinnati looked bad against Utah. So, are they the same caliber? Will it be a super close game? Yes, it will, because BYU doesn't play many games where they win big. There's only been a couple, So, I think Big 12 gets 2 in, but they've got to have, you've got to have BYU or Cincinnati win out and get both of them in the conference championship game with 1 Big 12 loss. I think you've got to do it to give yourself a chance to get 2 teams in there. Now, if Cincinnati loses to BYU, but then BYU goes off and beats Cincinnati, but then loses to like TCU this week, then you're just going to get 1 team in. You're going to get the champion. So then you've got 1 team from ACC, 1 team from Big 12. You've got 3, in my opinion, from the Big 10. Notre Dame, if they win out, that's 6. A G5, 7. And then you got 5 spots left for the SEC. And probably some people don't want to hear this, but there are 5 teams that probably deserve to be in the playoff from the SEC. Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas either have 0 losses or 1 loss in the conference. Texas has 2 losses overall. And Texas plays Georgia this weekend in Austin. I think Georgia's going to wreck Texas. I really do think that. Now, obviously, I don't know that, but I do think that's what's going to happen. Ole Miss is 5-1 in the conference, 9-1 overall. They've got Florida at Mississippi State. They probably got a pretty easy schedule relative to get into the playoff. And then the conference championship game. Here's the thing about the SEC. Conference championship game, whoever gets in that, both those teams are getting in. Both those teams are going to get in the playoff. And then the next question is, okay, so say it is Texas A&M and Alabama, because Texas A&M has South Carolina left, Samford, and Texas. So I think that Texas A&M is going to get after Texas pretty good. Texas A&M is going to get after Texas pretty good, if I didn't say that right the first time. So that's, I think Texas A&M has probably got a pretty good way to get into the conference championship game. Alabama's got Oklahoma this weekend in Tuscaloosa. That's going to be a huge game. What can Alabama's defense do versus Oklahoma's offense? What's Alabama's offense going to do versus Oklahoma's pretty dang good defense? It's going to be a pretty good matchup, I think. It's going to help with Alabama being at home. They've got a little bit of advantage being at home. Alabama does. So um, it's going to be pretty interesting to see the Alabama-Oklahoma game. And then Alabama's got Eastern Illinois, and then they got to go to Auburn, and you just never know what's going to happen there. So Alabama doesn't have the easiest schedule going out of it. Georgia's, we know, has got Texas coming up this weekend, Charlotte, and at Georgia Tech. So their last SEC game is this weekend. And they can go ahead and finish up a one-loss SEC season if they go and beat Texas, which I think they will. And Texas plays Georgia, then Arkansas, and then Texas A&M. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in Texas. If Alabama beats Oklahoma, Oklahoma's probably out of the playoff picture, in my opinion. Vanderbilt has got 2 losses, and they've got Kentucky and Tennessee left. If they win out and they finish up 10-2, which they got a good chance they play Kentucky and Tennessee, I mean, Vandy's might be in that rascal. I mean, you know, it's just so top-heavy in SEC. You've really got, I mean, because Oklahoma, if they beat Alabama and they win out, they've got a chance to get in the playoff too. So, well, they still got to play Missouri and LSU. They got a tough schedule, man. Golly, they got a tough one. Anyway, it's going to be super interesting to watch how this ends up in SEC. I think SEC gets probably 5 teams in. I do. There's going to be room for them. I think they get 5 in. I just think that's the case. So, especially with what's happening in the ACC and the Big 12, I think that the SEC is going to have a year where they have a lot of teams in. The Big 10, I think, gets 3. Now, I could see them saying, hey, there's 4 Big 10 teams. We want to get 4 in. Now, I'm not looking at the rankings right now in front of my face. They're going to change a little bit, obviously Tuesday. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with 1, 2, and 3. Will they drop Indiana down and move Texas A&M up? Ohio State will stay the same, I imagine, because they didn't have a whole lot of issues with Purdue. Will Texas A&M jump? I don't know. Because we don't really know. They're just kind of using some subjective terms, especially for the top 3. Subjective thoughts, opinions for that. So, anyway, it'll be fun to watch. You know, Washington's going to be knocked out. Iowa, they may knock them out. So, you know, actually they may keep them in the 25 just because they lost to Oregon, such a close game. Anyway, so that's going to be exciting to watch. Griffin Dalton and I will talk about it later in the week. Now, that's mainly what we had today. Now, I wanted to bring this up as well. So, I'm going to go watch some film on some of these games that happened over the weekend. Not all of them, just a couple, just to kind of see what's going on. I'm getting that itch to kind of watch some film and stuff. So I've been watching some, but I want to watch a little more. So I'm going to go watch some. If you're listening at this, I know it's late in the show. If there's a team that you would like for me to watch film on, and I'm trying to get better at fixing up these videos where I might can put some more stuff in there, voice over some of this video, you know, let me know if there's a team or teams that you'd like for me to do this with, because I would enjoy doing it if you would got a team that you want to look at or look at some things, but mainly offensively. If there's some defensive stuff, let me know too. I'll do that as well. That's FBS or FCS, Power 5 or Power 4, Group of 5 or FCS. I've kind of got a plug to get me some film, right? So especially if it's just a certain game, say, hey, check out, for example, Auburn Vanderbilt or Oregon Iowa. Check that one out, and I can go snag that game. I can watch it, and I can maybe throw it in some of these episodes, or you know, something. I'll figure out a way. I'm still working through some of that. I'm not super technologically sound on a lot of this stuff. I haven't done some of it, but I'm learning, and I'll get to it, and I can help you out as far as if you want to see what was going on, if you're curious about it, I'm no guru, but I think I can at least help, and I'd like to do that. So let me know if there's a team or teams or a certain game that you want me to watch the offense or maybe even defense of a certain team, and I might can throw a play or two in, maybe do um, a like a separate episode, a quick one, and just kind of talk about it. Hey, we're going to talk about Oklahoma's offense versus Texas. I don't know, whatever. I think it'll be fun, and that way you can watch it and you can ask questions, and then I can ask questions, and we can talk back and forth. So I think it'll be great. And listen, my picks sucked. And you know what? That's just all part of it because nobody knows what's going on in college football these days as far as who's going to win and not. At least I don't. There's lots of parity, and I can blame on that all day. But I didn't pick the right teams, and it just is what it is. So I'm sorry, okay? I'm trying to get better every day. That's all we can do. I'm going to go watch some film just for a little bit before we kind of get going here in the house. But I appreciate you being here, especially if you're here this long and you listen to all this. And then especially if you are going to hit me up and say, hey, go watch so-and-so game and check out what their offense did. That's even better. That's awesome. So listen, hit me up. Let me know if there's something you want me to look at. Subscribe, follow, rate, comment. Send me a game you want me to watch, and I can talk about it a little more. Look, I've got the old NC State shirt on today. I've had UNC. I've had all these other shirts on. Listen, girlfriend's dad is an NC State guy. I'm no idiot. You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying, dog? So I'm a Wolfpack member every now and then. So, listen, thank you for being here. Great show. I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hit me up. Let's interact. Give me a game or two to watch, and I'll get back with you with that. Appreciate you being here. God bless you. Hey, listen. On this podcast, we're called Pad Level. This is what we're going to do. When we leave here, all right, we've got eyes up and low pad level, baby. Everybody. I appreciate you very much. I love you. Have a great day. God bless you.